All right, people. This is your boy MC Amor from 103.5 FM here in Worcester. I have a couple of questions that I'm going to be asking a friend of mine who doesn't want me to show her face or even introduce her by name. But all the same, we're just going to go on and ask this question. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for asking.
It is a pleasure to actually meet with you, and I just want to say thank you for giving us a little bit of your time to talk with us today.
My pleasure.
One of the things that I'm going to be talking with you about actually is a question that I asked a friend of mine who is Jewish, and I think I should also ask someone of our other color, which is black, and I'm going to show you African,
Yes,
right? All right. So this is the question to you, right?
Yes.
Why do you think blacks are not wealthy, especially in a place like America?
Are we typically talking about, because when I say African, you also have to consider these Africans who have migrated here from Africa, and then you have the black Africans who are, we consider them African American, who are born here.
Okay.
But either way, I kind of find that we are all in the same category, and part of the reason is because due to being colonized, we were late in trying to accumulate wealth. We worked for our white supremacists who were able to use us to build their wealth and kind of get a cushion and are a step ahead of us.
Wow.
So that even with whatever is available for, like, say in terms of even education wise, you'll always find, you go to school, you get the same degree with a white person, but when you go to work, you guys are never compensated the same. So where you might be struggling a lot to kind of pay off debts, trying to pay off loans that you might have taken to go to school, you'll find that most white people are paid, that like their parents or their grandparents will have saved up money while these guys are growing up and help them pay for school, which kind of puts them ahead. The other thing is, a lot of Africans don't understand the value of money. Most people don't even know how to balance a checkbook. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Wow. So when you say most people are living paycheck to paycheck, is that only applicable to the white community or the black community?
No, I mean, there's obviously even in the white community, there's a percentage of people who live paycheck to paycheck, but you'll find that those who do have other factors that affect them. You might find half of these people are struggling with like drug or alcohol problems, which kind of drains the resources that they had, as opposed to which could also affect Africans or Black Americans. But our major problem is that we're not taught how to build wealth.
So would that be also the reason why blacks' economy are not growing?
Yes, and one thing, black people we don't promote each other. So you look at Africans, black people who own businesses. We never buy from our own. We never promote our own. We always, you're looking to buy a Louis Vuitton shoe for $5,000. Well, there's a black cobbler who can make you a nice leather shoe that might not be designer, but just as good as the other one.
The same quality.
But we want to put ourselves out there. We are too materialistic, following what is portrayed by the media. We want to look like celebrities. We don't know how to identify wants versus needs. Most of what we get is because we want, it's not because we need it.
Just to show off.
Yep.
Wow, that's very powerful. Thanks for making those points. And another question that I also want to ask you, it's about the your thoughts on the failure of blacks even though for the past 150 years that we've been colonized. So why do you think we've not made any progress so far?
Part of the reason we haven't made any progress is we are afraid of what we are capable of doing, is really what I think. So that we try to create obstacles. We come up with all these obstacles as to why we think we can't succeed, while we haven't even really attempted to try and succeed. We're always saying, I'm not going to try that business because, this white man is going to try and put me down, or these people are going to try and close the door. As long as you are already aware of what doors might be closed, people always say if you can use the door, there's always a way to come out through the window.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because really
Right.
the destination is what matters. How you get there, you can maneuver a lot of ways to get to the same destination.
Wow. So the one other thing is that when I met a friend of mine is Jewish, I spoke with him about Jewish culture and everything, and also how Jewish were able to accumulate wealth. And he made a point that 93% of Jewish do businesses within their racial group, and they refuse to extend that opportunity into other ethnicities. So do you think we as blacks, do you think would do the same, or what do you think about that?
No, if you look at the Jewish people, if you look at them, if they concentrate in a certain town or like a certain area, most of the time they will try and improve everything, which they'll build a hospital. You know, they'll build. If you look at like not, I don't want to call it subsidized housing, but they have programs or buildings that they build specifically for their old, so that when their population gets older, they have a nice place where they can still live. Businesses, they promote their own. They put the money wherever they
also
are.
employ their
so
own.
They employ their own. If you look at the infrastructure around where they live, all the money is just going back to where they live. Everything is to build
It's also in a circle.
Yes, as in the concentration of wealth, they make it there and leave it there, as opposed to us Africans. Most Africans don't do that.
So by way of doing that, it helps other middle class, low class, no class to grow.
It basically pulls everybody up, trying to put obviously not everybody is going to be on the same level, but at the end of the day, we don't have a lot of people at the bottom either. That most people are living decent and actually just being able to live comfortably, because there's a difference between rich and just being comfortable. If you can be able to get a steady paycheck that's able to cover your bills without you having like a straining or having to cut corners so that you can just survive, that is what most people would be comfortable doing.
Wow. All right, in case you're just joining us, this is MC Omo, having a conversation with a friend of mine concerning the challenges that blacks are facing, especially in this country, America. And if you've been following closely, you would have been able to capture some few knowledgeable points that my friend here has made so far. And again, another thing that I also want to mention to you is about what is it that you think blacks in general needs to do to help their community, the economy to grow?
The most important thing, obviously, is to try and get an education. For parents right now who have children who are at a young age, it would be ideal to try and come up with ways to save or to build wealth, to create a cushion for them that they can be able to get an education without having to strain so much, trying to get a student loan to try to get through school, and then after they're done with school, half of the money that they're getting from employment, they're just trying to pay student loans, and it's like it's a cycle. So that by the time they're done finishing student loans, they're old. Their kids are in the same positions that they were in before, unable to take their kids through school.
Wow, which is a very challenging situation to be in. So, one of the last questions that I also want to ask is, what is your thoughts about some of those blacks that grew up in the hood and they were able to make it alive, most especially the ones in the sport that are marrying, white, and what do you think about that? Are they really helping the situation by doing that, or they actually adding to the problem?
Well, I can't really say that. I can't really say they're adding to the problem. I feel like some of these black wealthy people, sometimes you can have the money, but sometimes you also need the power. And so to be able to get to certain places, they feel like it might be helpful for them to have like a white person who can be able to open certain doors for them that they otherwise wouldn't have been invited to certain places if not for who they are carrying on their arm.
So would you say by way of doing that, do you think that might not be politically correct, but does it mean we, or rather all blacks, must marry whites in order for them to be accessible, or rather to have access into certain places?
No, the other thing with getting out of the hood too is all about presentation. Sometimes you have, like I said, it's not all about the money, it's also about power. And sometimes you don't have like, for lack of a better word, a hood rat for a wife. All this ghetto talk, all those kind of things that really portray, they make us look funny or weak. I don't know what to say, but how we present ourselves also makes us respected up there. And sometimes I find that maybe that's what these celebrities are trying to do, or these athletes or businessmen who have tried to get themselves out of poverty. They're just trying to get somebody who kind of understands them, somebody who's going to help them build their wealth. Because don't forget, most Black Americans are we're not teaching our children how to balance checkbooks. They have no idea about the stock market. Most people who start work hardly start saving for retirement until they're actually close to retirement and realize, oh, wait a minute, I actually need to start building some money to help me, help me for the years that I'm not going to be working.
Wow. So, what advice would you give to parents out there who are also looking into building a better life for their kids, even though they don't have the knowledge to do that? What advice do you have for them?
Sometimes it's also teaching your kids wants versus needs. We show our kids pick up on things. So it could be something simple as exercise. Most parents who exercise or who have some kind of exercise regimen, you'll find their kids want to emulate that because that's what they're learning from their parents. Same thing with building wealth. Teach your kid how to save. Help them identify, like, hey, I have this money. What would be the best course of action with my money? Should I save it? Oh, I want to buy an iPhone 6. Wait a minute, what's